Hi everyone, my name is Long Cao. I'm a cardiac director here at Open, and I'm excited to announce that we have sudden death screening, and basically screening to help young folks who do athletic things, who are into impact sports, or just in general that are participating in athletic activities, to get screened for cardiac issues when they do play sports or do overexert themselves. A lot of us don't know, and we may have seen it on television, where we see this very, robust football player, a very healthy track runner who suddenly collapse. And we see this on television, and they get taken away, and next thing you know, they're announced to have passed away because of sudden cardiac death. And maybe for a family member or a friend from school that's had that happen, and you wonder, why is my kid gonna have this issue, or are they gonna suffer from something similar? It kind of makes you worry, and it makes the patient or the child worry too, because they don't want to participate in sports if this is what's going to happen. Now, this doesn't happen that often, but when it does, it's kind of detrimental, and you don't want your child to have this issue, certainly yourself if you play sports. So there's a few diseases that we do sports physical on, and we do ultrasounds and we do EKG, which a lot of sports physical don't, and that picks up certain things that are missed. The sudden cardiac death that happens in young folks, a few of them are hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Now that occurs more in the African American population, but that's when your muscles are so thick, you're born with it, it's congenital. And because your muscles are so thick, the electricity that travels through the muscle doesn't travel correctly, and you go into a dysarrhythmia, ventricular tachycardia and ventricular fib, which is not conducive to life. And these things are normally screened with an EKG and an echocardiogram. And if the child has this, or the teenager has this, or even adults that I see have this, they're persuaded not to participate in a contact sport or anything that is overburden for their heart, which can elicit this, and they can get treatment for it, and perhaps get a defibrillator to where they protect themselves from something like this happening down the line. Again, it's genetic, and it can only be detected via an echocardiogram when you do it, and you may see some signs of it on an EKG. Second thing is long QT. A lot of us are born with this abnormality in electrical conductivity in our heart, and these folks, they have where it takes a long time for their heart to completely recharge and send out the next beat. It's a problem of the conduction pathway. And what happens is they can go into a similar episode, and we can see this long QT, a long QT syndrome, when we do an EKG of the heart, and we see that lengthening of that QT when we measure it. So there's a few things there that you won't get just by examining externally. You have to do an EKG and you have to do an echocardiogram. Finally, Wolff-Parkinson-White is another one, and that usually you see on an EKG. Again, it's a conductive pathway where there's an accessory pathway where electricity shouldn't be traveling in through the heart, but it is, and that can cause the heart to go into an irregular rhythm called VT or VFib. Again, I want to reemphasize, this is not a common thing, but if you have you're talking about your kid, or you're playing sports and you're looking at yourself, that statistics of 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000, or even some 1 in 50,000, doesn't matter. It's still, you're talking about your life. Okay, folks, the next screening that we have is July the 13th at our Williams Way location, and that's where we're gonna hopefully help someone out.